The Australian citizenship ceremony is a momentous occasion for many who have worked hard to become a part of the nation officially. It's a day filled with pride, excitement, and sometimes even a bit of nervousness as participants prepare to take the final step in their journey to becoming an Australian citizen. But what actually happens during this event? Let's take a deep dive into the entire process, from receiving the invitation to walking out with a citizenship certificate in hand. The journey to the citizenship ceremony begins with an official invitation from the local council or government body overseeing the event. Once a person meets the eligibility requirements and their application is approved, they don't automatically become a citizen. They must first take the Australian Citizenship Pledge at a formal ceremony. Invitations are sent out via mail or email, usually from the local council, detailing the date, time, and location of the event. Some councils have a backlog, so it may take a while to receive an invitation, while others hold frequent ceremonies and can slot people in sooner. Citizenship ceremonies are often held in community centers, town halls, or other public venues large enough to accommodate the participants and their guests. The number of participants at a ceremony can vary depending on the location. In smaller councils, there might be just a few dozen people, while in larger cities, hundreds might take the pledge at the same time. The government organizes these ceremonies multiple times a year to accommodate the large number of applicants, with some councils holding them every month, while others do so only a few times a year. On the day of the ceremony, participants arrive dressed in their best outfits, some in formal wear, others embracing their cultural attire, and a few who didn't quite get the memo and show up in shorts and flip-flops. But that's the Aussie way, isn't it? The laid-back nature of the country means nobody is going to be judged too harshly for their fashion choices. As participants arrive, they check in at the registration desk, where their identity is verified. It's a bit like a wedding. Everyone is excited, there's a lot of paperwork, and a few people are nervously sweating. Once inside, the seating arrangement is usually well organized, with chairs neatly arranged in rows for the new citizens. Their guests, family, friends, or that one coworker who somehow got an invite sit in a separate section, watching the proceedings unfold. Some councils set up name tags on seats, while others let people sit wherever they like, which leads to the classic scenario of a couple getting separated and desperately trying to signal each other from across the room. As the ceremony begins, a government official, usually the mayor or another high-ranking official, welcomes everyone with a speech about the significance of the day. There's usually an acknowledgement of the traditional custodians of the land, emphasizing Australia's deep respect for Indigenous heritage. Some speeches are short and sweet, while others go on long enough that people start shifting in their seats, wondering if they should have brought snacks. The main event is, of course, the Citizenship Pledge. Participants are given the option to pledge with or without the mention of God, and it's usually read out line by line for everyone to repeat. This is the moment when people officially become Australian citizens. For some, it's a deeply emotional moment, with tears of joy welling up in their eyes. For others, it's a moment of slight panic as they realize they weren't paying attention and now have to quickly catch up with the words. Once the pledge is complete, the new citizens receive their official citizenship certificates. This is where the ceremony starts to resemble a graduation event. People walk up, shake hands with the official, and receive their certificate. Some do it with a graceful nod, others awkwardly try to shake hands while grabbing the certificate at the same time, and a few end up in an accidental half-hug because they misjudged the official's movements. Each participant usually receives a small Australian flag and sometimes a native plant as a symbolic gift. The native plant is a nice touch. It's like the government's way of saying, "Here's a tree. You're part of Australia now, go take care of this." Some councils also provide a small keepsake, like a lapel pin or a booklet about Australian values and history. Now, when it comes to video and photographs, every council has different rules. Most allow photography, but with restrictions. Some councils have official photographers, while others let family members click away as long as they don't disrupt the ceremony. There's always that one person who forgets to turn off their phone's flash and blinds half the room, or someone who holds up an iPad the size of a TV screen, blocking everyone's view. Live streaming isn't always allowed, but people try anyway, and there's always at least one enthusiastic relative FaceTiming the whole event to their family overseas. After the official proceedings, there's often a light refreshment session, tea, biscuits, maybe some lamingtons if you're lucky. Some councils go all out and provide a proper morning or afternoon tea, while others keep it simple. This is the moment when people start taking endless selfies with their certificates, posing with friends, family, and even the government official who presided over the ceremony. Some people even attempt to hold up their certificates dramatically, as if they've just won an Olympic medal. Question that often comes up is how many guests a participant can bring. This depends on the venue's size and the local council's policies. In smaller venues, participants might be limited to 1 or 2 guests, while in larger ceremonies they might be allowed to bring more. Some councils require guests to RSVP, while others have a more relaxed approach and let people show up on the day. The citizenship ceremony is a milestone moment for participants. For many, it's the final step in a long journey, years of visa applications, waiting periods, and tests on Australian history, government, and traditions. It's more than just a formality. It's a recognition of the effort and commitment people have put into becoming part of the country. It also comes with practical benefits, voting rights, access to an Australian passport, and the undeniable right to complain about the weather like a true Aussie. The number of ceremonies held each year varies by state and council. Major cities like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane hold ceremonies frequently due to high demand, while smaller regional councils may only hold a few each year. National events like Australia Day and Citizenship Day often feature large-scale ceremonies, sometimes with special guests or notable Australians in attendance. Despite the formal structure, these ceremonies often have moments of unintentional humor. There's always a child in the audience loudly asking, "Is it finished yet?" halfway through the mayor's speech. Someone inevitably gets their name mispronounced in a way that makes the whole room chuckle. And there's always that one participant who claps a little too early, creating an awkward moment of scattered applause. The end of the day, the citizenship ceremony is a celebration. It's a day of joy, relief, and pride. People walk in as permanent residents and walk out as Australian citizens, ready to embrace their new identity, whether that means supporting a footy team, learning to properly barbecue sausages, or simply knowing how to handle a conversation about the weather.